Welcome to the Lean Learning Center podcast. I'm Chris, joined by my co-host Bill Artsberger. Together we're unpacking the power of lean methodologies to transform your approach to business and to enhance your efficiency. Whether you're a seasoned lean practitioner or just beginning, this is your go-to resource for transformative lean thinking. Let's get started. All right, everybody, thanks for joining us again on another Lean Learning Center podcast. My name is Chris Cottle, president of Lean Learning Center, and I'm interviewing Bill Artsberger, the previous president of Lean Learning Center, to really get feedback as to some of the successes that we've had in a number of different industries. We're going to be talking Amazon today. So, Bill, why don't you start us off with some of the experiences you've had there?
Sure. It's a great story. And a lot of people, most people probably heard of Amazon, of course, particularly in the last few years. I know that during the pandemic, that's how we primarily got our things delivered to us and the way they respond. But if you recall, they've been around a while. If you remember the struggles they had early on in their, I would say, as they first got set up and got established, they really struggled to be successful.
Share with us some of the examples there.
Well, they, of course, weren't making money. They were losing a lot of money. This was a new thinking, a new techniques. A lot of people were naysayers out in the world. They thought, well, that'll never survive. Who can do that? Online ordering and delivery through the mail. That's not going to work. People want to go to the stores and see things and buy them and pick them up, and it's just simply not going to work. And they struggled mightily in the beginning to fulfill that promise. Lost a lot of money. They a lot of Wall Street didn't expect them to survive or to be around long. They were going to burn through all their initial VC money, and that was going to be the end of it. And there were other companies that tried to play in that space that didn't survive, and they burned through their capital and disappeared because they weren't able to respond to their customers and able to respond to the market that was out there. So it's kind of an interesting story. They've been around long enough now that people don't remember that the hardships and the startups they went through to sort of survive, and now that they're flourishing, people kind of forget that they went through a lot of trials and tribulations to get to where they're going. And we were fortunate enough to get engaged with them very early on in their startup. So from the very beginning, they engaged with us and asked that question, how do we do this? Or how do we get better at what we're doing? How do we overcome these barriers and these challenges that we have?
Sure.
And we help them establish some internal process review and internal ways to look at what they're doing from a different mindset, and really instilled in them the customer viewpoint, or that lens. We like to say, take a look at what the customer wants and be able to respond to it and drive that. And of course, they had a lot of other visionaries on staff. We can't take credit for all their successes, but we did help them internally quite a bit. And we stood up a process in a department called Amazon ACEs. So that spawned an internal CI development or process improvement department. I'm sorry, I interrupted. Do you have a question?
No, I think I was just wondering, to start with, what are some of the things that they were facing or ways that they were thinking and operating that were not effective that you were able to help bring up to par?
Well, they, of course, were struggling with a new model, a new delivery. How do we do that? Some of the things that they were trying to do had never been done before. How do we get orders, using the technology? You always like to ask me the question about technology. How do we get orders online and get them quickly to where they want to be? And then how do we get them out to the customer in a very fast fashion? So those are some of the questions that they had early on. And they were, in some cases, trying to respond like a traditional brick and mortar store, where we're just going to take the order and we're going to send it to a local store. And of course, Amazon's unique, where they have many different providers. They don't make the products; they are the intermediary, so to speak,
Right.
for the most part. So that's a different. They have to be very good at that connectivity and very good at partnering with their suppliers, and that challenge, and in the beginning, was tough, because none of their customers wanted to place an order online or through Amazon and then wait for an exceptionally long period of time. So they really needed to improve that flow, make sure they got the order to where it was going, and then come up with ways to monitor their their suppliers to make sure that they were fulfilling the order to their ultimate Amazon customers very, very quickly. So in the beginning, they and many of the other online orders were just passing off the order and saying, well, I sent the order on to this supplier, this store, so it's out of our hands. You know what can we do? All I do is take the order and send it on. Well, they quickly realized, and we helped them to realize that they needed to be much more engaged. They needed to play an ownership role in making sure that no, this is our customer, and we need to make sure that you're delivering and supplying to them in a timely manner. So they develop standards and methodologies and mechanisms for their not only their customers to engage with them quickly, but also their suppliers to fulfill very rapidly. And
That's
that was
interesting you bring that up because I think, like, at the time when Amazon, like a few years ago, Amazon and eBay and some of these other places were focused on sort of a drop shipping platform to rely on suppliers to send products as they sell them, kind of a thing. And that's a very novel idea for Amazon to take on, is to be the support and help with the entire process with all of their partners.
right. Yep, it was. And at least to say that the secret sauce behind Amazon has been lean. Their thinking and their way of developing a learning organization has been the secret to their success. So that viewpoint and that change in that viewpoint is critical. You kind of nailed that. And we help them stand up a whole internal CI department where they focused on that. What are we doing, and how do we make changes, and how do we push these changes throughout our company and be engaged with our suppliers as well as our customers.
Sure. I remember back when, back before, Amazon, you could compare it to like eBay, and then you had to kind of determine, how well rated was each of the suppliers that I'm buying from, and should I trust the person I'm buying it from on this platform before I do that. And you do a little bit of that today, but you can kind of see if they're a prime partner, that you're pretty much going to get it within that 2-day delivery window now pretty consistently. And in fact, a lot of it's been crazy to see some of as I travel across the country and see some of the warehouses and stuff that have been spun up by Amazon, that are really close in some of these metropolitan areas to a lot of the customers. And now, I mean, I've even ordered stuff on Amazon that has showed up to my door the same night before.
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing, isn't it? So that whole distribution model was kind of turned on its head, and they changed that. So when they connected with their suppliers, like you said, they have different levels of them, of course, and they're prime suppliers, and the way they interface with their distribution centers, and that model they decided to stand up and put these geographically located, critical DCs in place with their suppliers has been fundamental to making quicker and faster changes. Think about how much their delivery model has improved over the last decade.
Oh yeah,
You,
it's drastic.
yeah, like you said, yeah, I'll put in orders now from someone and get a Prime, and it's not only do they not charge me for shipping, but sometimes, yeah, it does show up later that day. It's amazing. I'll I'll I'll,
Right.
I'll place an order in the morning, and I'll notice the guy will show up in the afternoon, and I wonder what's this? I didn't order anything last week. Oh yeah, that's what I ordered this morning.
Right.
Here it is. Bow, bingo. Why would I ever walk down to the store to go get it? And that's the focus of what they came to, and the realization that if we're going to do this, we need to be really, really good at it. And they invested heavily in that. But we mapped out, and they mapped out the entire distribution model in that process, in these long process maps we put on the wall of what it took to get from here to there. How did we get from an order, once the order is clicked? What's the exact steps we went through to get it to their door? The long, complicated product process maps that we had, and then where could we eliminate? We looked at the 7 critical wastes. Where could we eliminate transportation waste, and where could we eliminate waiting waste, and where could we eliminate over processing, overproduction, and all of those things. We started removing a little here and a little there, a little here, a little there. Started making the connections and making that map shorter and shorter and shorter, and faster responding, quicker responding, better connections throughout, focusing on those rules and focusing on that process map, getting it better and better each time. And The improvement did not happen overnight. So when they first came up, they struggled, and the next couple of years it got a little better, and it got a little better, and then a few years later, now they're getting it. Now they're really good. They're sort of the state of the art, the industry model, and that's the secret to adopting this learning methodology and the lean thinking behind it, getting consistently better and always getting better and better, looking at what we're doing that's not working right. When you got that order that you placed and you got it really quickly, did you get a little response and you got emails keeping you up to date? Here's a tracking number. Here's where it's going to be shipped. Here's where it's shipping from. Here's the expectation to it. That's pretty new too, isn't it? You still there,
Right. I
Chris?
mean, yeah, right. I mean, honestly, when you're looking at that, like you've got the whole tracking system as far as step by step as to where your package is, um, and if you go and look at your recent orders, even, I mean, I had a situation where I ordered something on Amazon, and then there was that weather we were hit with across the country, where there was multiple car pileups and stuff, and I was expecting to get my package, but then I was notified that extreme weather was the reason I didn't get it, and then they were able to deliver it to me still from a different place a couple of days later, it seems like. So some of those connections are insane, how they're just able to take that information as to what happened, and then still look at, providing a successful experience for the customer, kind of what the experience was for the customer years ago at Amazon. But now that you're saying, they're competing with brick and mortar, it is fascinating to kind of look through some of the reasons why people might pick something up at the store otherwise. And I still have a little bit of that as a customer. I have something I'm missing and I need to replace it. And it's like, well, I'd like to have it today rather than wait 2 days on Amazon. But the
Hmm.
reality is sometimes um, I never get to that store either. So I'm finding myself saying, you know what, just order it on Amazon because you might get it today. And if you don't, you get it 2 days from now. At least you remembered to do it. So many times I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to pick up, like I did this with just a windshield wiper the other day. And it was like my windshield wiper broke on my car. I was like, oh, I'll get that at the store next time I'm out there, or auto parts store. Never made that trip for 3 days. If I would have just ordered it on Amazon when I thought about it, then I have it and we're ready to go. So,
Yeah, yeah,
there's
yeah.
some
It's
advantages to that I'm, as a customer, now realizing the power of that still. And I think more people are as they continue to use it.
right. And when you place that order, if you did need it quickly, they'll tell you, yeah, you can have this today, or you can have it tomorrow, or you can have it in 2 days.
Right,
And most of the time now, that's when it happens. And then they're not 100% perfect. Sometimes
right,
things happen, like you said, weather that are out of their control, but sometimes they also internally don't get it right. But they more often than not get it right now, where in the past they'd said, well, you're going to have it in 2 days. And then 2 weeks later it showed up. Well,
sure.
they listened to the customers, went back to the drawing board, so to speak, on how do we make that connection better and how do we improve that. So now it's phenomenally accurate, and that good response to the customer has gotten fantastic.
And the other thing that's interesting is the return policy that they've instilled, because you think about, oh, I can order from my local store. If I don't like this item, I can return it. And traditionally, before Amazon started instilling their returns policy the way that they have now, you would have to pay for shipping to return to any online store. So now you don't even have to pay for shipping. You can drop it. There's some drop off locations, or they send you a printing label that's ready to go. You just drop it on the package and send it out, and it doesn't cost you anything. That makes you, there, that overcomes that barrier of the brick and mortar store, which is like, well, if I don't like it, I can return it. So, being able to see even clothes. I know a lot of people order clothes on Amazon, and then if it doesn't fit right, they just send it back, get another size, and there's no cost to the customer in those particular cases. So it's kind of interesting how they've overcome that challenge too.
Yeah, they did that by using the same lean techniques that they did for everything else. They looked at what the customers were and got the feedback from them. When you place your order, you have all these options. They partnered with their delivery suppliers, we'll say UPS and FedEx and all that. They partnered with them so that they can do these tags, they can lower their cost, they can send out a return label very quickly. They turned that on its head too. And a lot of the deliveries now they're doing that last mile piece with their own internal delivery processes as well. it's amazing. I'm always excited to see what they're doing next and what's coming up and what happening in the role we played on and helping them figure this out and pay attention to what's happening, be so responsive to what's happening. That fostering innovation, the lean thinking is just baked so much into their bones now, baked into their processes. It's part of who they are and their culture and what they do going forward. They couldn't do it any differently. They If you tried to pull that out, they wouldn't understand. It's part of their systems. And part of that, when you got it, you had that great tracking, you got that really good response process. We've overcome a lot of these barriers. We're listening to our customers and doing better and better at it. You're also getting a survey quite frequently now. Sometimes they're kind of annoying. Hey, you just got this order. What did you think? Did we nail it this time? Did we get it right?
Right.
If you're ordering from them frequently, you're getting these surveys from them frequently, where it used to be very infrequent. They might ask once in a while, or in the beginning they ask never, but now they're asking all the time because they want to know if something didn't happen or didn't work, why it happened, and be very specific about it, because there'll be failures for a lot of different reasons. It always isn't just one thing. Sometimes you get the package, but there's nothing in it, or sometimes you get it late or it got delayed because of this or that, and they want to know. So they're constantly looking at ways at making it better and better. And that's the culture. That's what they're driving internally. It's wonderful to see it in action.
Well, and it's interesting too because, they're actually taking some of that stuff into consideration. Even as a customer, I think that sometimes when I get surveys, the one main reason why I find them annoying would be because I don't feel, you feel like your feedback falls on deaf ears, kind of a thing.
Right, right, exactly. And you could take that to heart even with your internal responses, your internal customer surveys or employee surveys, any kind of response that you get as a company, as a leader, you will need to make sure you follow up and you listen to every single one of them.
Sure.
That the people that are putting them in know that their voices count. And from a company standpoint, if you're getting employee feedback or suggestions or anything, you need to make sure that every single one gets a response. Now, Amazon, they don't respond to every single one out to customers, but they do respond to a lot of them. And you can tell they're listening because you see things change.
Right.
Look at what they're doing from a process standpoint over the years, things have changed. And I've, on occasion, even had a couple problems where I've gone to their, customer service, get the help, and you can get the little messaging service, and they're pretty responsive. Not always perfect, but they listen to what the problem was. They'll, help solve the initial part, the firefighting part. They'll give her your replacement or whatever it is, but then they also want to know why it happened so that they can put processes in place, put some error proofing in, or change the process so that it doesn't happen again. And that's the main focus. They don't mention that to you. They're just trying to get you happy, get you a
Right.
product. It didn't get to you. It was damaged or whatever happens, get you a replacement or get it refunded or get it returned, whatever it is you want to do. But the real reason why they're asking is so they can prevent that from happening in the first place. They don't want
Right.
you to be unhappy for it in the first place. So they don't always say that, but that's that they're really listening hard to that. They put a lot of effort behind that. You go walk through their DCs and talk to their people, they understand this. This culture is pervasive throughout the organization. There's almost nobody that you talk to in Amazon that doesn't get this culture about what's happening. And I'll say almost because they've grown and they're very big now, so it's hard to maintain this organizational knowledge and this kind of culture thinking throughout 100%. But they've come darn close to it, and it's exciting to see that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for what are some of the things that people can learn from what Amazon has implemented?
Well, we mentioned quite a few of them already, but depending on the business that you're in, listening to the customer is number one. I always like to say that you got to change your lens. You got to put a different set of glasses on, so to speak, or making sure that you're listening to what they have, and it's not just listening to complaints or what's happening, but trying to listen to what they really want. What is
Right.
it that they need? What are the things that you think they're going to need next year? Trying to be responsive and asking those questions of them. Hey, I know that we got this product as spec'd out and you got it to you when you wanted it, but what are things that would help you satisfy your customer better? What are the things that we can help you with that would help you do a better job internally for your employees or for your customers. And sometimes they might not have the answer right away. They have to think about it a little bit, but having these conversations, these ongoing conversations will help you, kind of paint a picture of what's happening. You might think that they need it faster. It turns out that they don't really need the product faster, but they need it different, or they need, the spec that they're getting needs to be a little bit tighter, or it could be something else that you weren't even paying attention to. So you'd be surprised by the responses you get sometimes. I've had customers that we've worked with that really worked hard to get something to the customer a lot quicker. And it turns out they didn't really need it quicker at all. It was just causing them problems. What they needed was this shape to be a little bit differently, or the coating on it different, or when we really started asking, because they have to go through an extra process. They have to send it out because they're not capable of doing it internally. Maybe we can help them do that. We can partner with them and take that on and be a better. Those are important things to think about. And the ways you listen to your customers, think about that. So who is it that gets the little feedback tidbits from your customer? So is it your sales guy or your marketing guy, or who's engaging with your customer? And does that information they get when the customer says, "Hey, great job on that, but I could really like it in red," or "It would be really great if I did get it quicker," that information that they're getting, that gold information, does it get to the people that can make a difference? Does it get to the plant manager? Does it get to the CEO? Does it get to the guys, that the engineering design team, that does it get to the people that can really make a difference? And do you have a mechanism for doing that? Are those connections in place? Or does it go into a little hole and never gets anywhere? Or sometimes it gets there, or it always goes one place, and I hear bits and pieces of it, so that it not only does it get to the right place for the people that can take action on it, but are they empowered then to take action? Can they then say, "Hey, customer wants this. Let's take a look at this area. Let's map it and see, can we do better in this area? And how do we do that?" By looking at our wastes and our process improvements and our connections and our structure and our flows, can we do a little bit quicker here in this area? Can we make it to ask people that, are your customers getting the quality products from you that they expect and that they demand? And are they getting the quality? Are you prepared to deliver the quality that they're going to expect and demand in the future? If they're
Right.
not, if they're not doing it, these are some of the first things that you need to be working on,
Right.
making your quality of your products. And that includes so product and service quality. Are they getting what they want now and in the future? If they are, quality is really good, your product and service quality is very good, then you have to ask, are we capable of delivering the quantity that they want? They really
Is there
love
more
quantity.
opportunity for quantity, really, is what it comes down to in some cases? Because you might say, well, yeah, we're delivering what they've asked for, but have you had that conversation with them to say, hey, if we could produce 50% more, would that be helpful for you?
Yeah, would it be useful? Could you use 50% more of this particular product? That's a good conversation to have with them. Or they might say, yeah, I order 100 from you because that's what you're capable of delivering, but could you really use 200? But I know you can't deliver that, so I get it from somebody else.
Right.
So then, if you're meeting the quality demands consistently, are you meeting the capacity demands? Can you deliver, the quantity of the items that they want? And if the answer is you could sell more, or they would be able to buy more, your customer base, then what can I do to improve my capacity? Are there ways that I can improve my capacity with very, very little capital spend? Can I improve my capacity in other areas? What would it take to do that? So then,
Right.
if you are delivering the quality and you are delivering the quantity that they need, then the last question to ask would be, am I doing it effectively and efficiently enough? So that's the cost question. Am I delivering the product, the quality product that you need, a timely manner, the quantity that you need, but can I do it price competitively enough? And now, if you ask any customer, they're always going to say, "Yeah, I want something cheaper," but that's not where we should go right off the bat, right? And you wouldn't necessarily ask that question in that way. You would make sure that you're being competitive in the market, but am I
Sure.
being effective and efficient internally too? Am I providing the return to my stockholders, to my employees? Am I providing the return to all the members, all the
Right.
shareholders, the stakeholders? Can I do this in a more cost efficient manner and provide more return, more profitability to me, so that I can invest in additional capacity and in additional products and expand to service my customers even better and to service my employees and my shareholders better? That's the third question, and I ask them specifically in that order because if we focus on just becoming more profitable right off the bat, we will miss the other first two, which means that we will miss the mark for our customers. So having that customer lens doesn't mean we ignore profitability. Profits aren't a bad thing, they're a very good thing, but it means that we look at things a little bit differently. We make sure we're focusing on that. You can produce the best, brightest, fastest product in the world that nobody wants, and you'll be out of business pretty quickly. So we need to
That's
make
a
sure
great
that
point.
we're
That's a great note for us to end on. So we'll sign off on this for this episode. Thanks everybody for listening. Looking forward to seeing you on the next ones. Thanks, Bill.
great. Thanks again, Chris. Look forward to the next time.
That's a wrap for today's episode. Thanks for joining us, and don't forget to visit leanlearningcenter.com for more insights and resources. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries of efficiency and innovation. Thanks for listening.